Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of Hamilton Icons. I have a super exciting guest, probably one of my favorite guests to date. I know I say that almost every episode, but this time it's true. Before we dive into it, I am your host and local real estate agent, Justin Little. If you get a chance, I just dropped my new book, The Sold Formula, How to Sell Your Home for More in Any Market. Reach out to me, get a copy for free if you're thinking about selling in the Hamilton area. Now, let's jump into the podcast. Today, I'm joined by Kay Okafor, who is the CEO, President of OK Fitt, and I guess I can say most importantly, but most impressively, a former Hamilton Ticat. Thank you so much for coming on, Kay.
Justin, appreciate you having me, man. Glad to be here. This is awesome, yeah.
Well, it's fun that you came on, and obviously we have the mutual friends, Mike at 45, and then Vince Vaccarella, both who were on this podcast. So they were like, "You got to talk to this guy. He's got a good story." So
well, I'm glad they said that, man. Yeah, I watched the episode with Mike and Vince. Great guys, great friends. I'd say that. But yeah, it was love what you're doing here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, let's just jump right into it. I was doing a little bit of research on you because you have a Wikipedia page. You're the first person I've had on that has a Wikipedia page.
You know what? Yeah, I don't say it. I remember when I got the news that I had a Wikipedia page. I woke up to a text from a buddy, and he sent me a link, and I'm like, oh my, what do I do now? It was like a link of my face and everything. And Wikipedia. I read a few of the lines, and I had a wiki page, man. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome, because when I read it, there's actually something caught my attention. Then I had to see if it was real or somebody made it up. But you went to a university, Xavier, but the team is X-Men?
Yes.
Hey, Francis Xavier X-Men.
St. Francis Xavier X-Men out in Nova Scotia. Yeah, I did 4 years there. I played football for great school. Great. It's in Antigonish, which is a small town in Nova Scotia. Very much a university town. It's one of those towns where once the school semesters are done, it turned into a ghost town, right? But we were called the X-Men, and the girls' teams were called the X-Women. So yeah, lots of fun school, great football program, great school overall.
Yeah, so I know I jumped ahead to that, but I know you originally came to Prince Edward Island, right? So according to Wikipedia, 2011 it was?
Yes. So I'll give you a sort of a journey map. So 2011, I got to Canada. I actually started out here with a family, a cousin of mine, and then moved out to the East Coast for university. Started in University of Prince Edward Island for a year. I played football for Holland College, which was a sort of a program under university, right? So played there for a year, and then went to St. FX University. Then did 4 years out in St. FX. So very much my first 5 years in Canada were mostly in the East Coast.
Nice. Did you like the East Coast? Was it compared to
great, man? Different lifestyle, different lifestyle from out here, but lots slower, I'd say. Very nice people, lovely people, right? If you like the water, the different food, it's a great place. Different lifestyle though, I'd say that, but great time, man. Great time. Very welcoming. I'll say that. Yeah. Very, very, very welcoming.
My family used to have a cottage in Prince Edward Island for the first 16 years I was alive, and my grandmother's actually from there. And so we used to go every summer, and I remember we used to eat at a restaurant. It was the Claw Fine Dining and Laundromat.
Oh, no way.
That's what I love about it, is you could go to a small town, do your laundry, and then have a nice, the fancy dinner was like a turkey dinner, right?
Yeah. We had this legendary pub called the Piper's Pub right by the university, and it was like the spot to be at. Piper's Pub. We called it the pub. And if you ever go to Antigonish, have you ever been to the pub? That's the first question everyone asks.
Yeah. So Piper's is where I'm going, eh?
Yeah, Piper's Pub. Great place, great food. And at nighttime on the weekend, it turns into a mini club session. So
nice.
Yeah, good times out there.
That's awesome. Yeah. So then what brought you back to Hamilton?
Yeah, so football, right? Football, played 4 years at St. FX, then great opportunity with football, got scouted by some NFL teams. I went down to the US, did a few tryouts, major tryout, say, was for the Vikings in 2017, and got into the draft. I'll take it back. 2016, I was in the East-West Bowl is like this all-star game they do in Canada with all the top university players from the East and the West. So they sort of bring those together. Every third-year student you get into a draft, and they pick the top players or whatever, and you go into this game. So that was sort of where it started for me, right? 2016, big time, got into, top 50 players in the country. Then top 20 made the top 20 list for the players in the country, and then that's how it happened. It rolled over into the draft, 2017 March, and got drafted by Hamilton, and Hammertown it's been ever since then.
It's been good for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting you came and then ended up coming back here, right? That's pretty interesting. Now, let's talk about your story actually a little bit even before university. So you're originally from Nigeria?
Yes, originally from Nigeria. Yeah.
I just had a question about, so is football big over there?
No. So you know what? Now there's a project going on where the NFL the Cleveland Browns actually just bought the marketing rights. I'm pretty sure to market in Nigeria. So now there's NFL is doing a few things in Nigeria and Africa in general. We're trying to expand the game, so it's pretty cool what they're doing. But growing up, not at all. Soccer is a big sport in Nigeria. I played soccer growing up, but then switched over to basketball. So I played a lot of basketball in my teen years. Shot put, I was a big kid, so did shot put, played basketball, played a bit of soccer in my younger years. So football was not a thing. Football was not at all not a thing. When I got to Canada, it's so funny. When I got to Canada, my first time lacing up football cleats was in 2012. I was 19 years old. First time lacing up football cleats, and 5 years later, I was in the CFL.
Wow. Just like a natural talent, eh? But you know what? You did athletics all your life.
Exactly.
And so
and it translates, right? I was an athlete. I was strong, and those are the sort of foundations for the position I played on the football field, which was D-line back then. If you're a raw athlete, you're strong, you're smart enough to pick things up, they can work with you, and that's what happened. I had some great coaches, great teammates, so they sort of worked with me, molded me into the player that I became.
That's awesome. And then I read, I don't know if this is right, in the Ticats you switched to O-line.
Yes. So yeah, switched to O-line. CFL. In the CFL, it's a thing in the CFL where Canadian talent, some teams have the option to sort of make that decision to switch your position. So when I got to the CFL in 2017, the Ticats, they made that decision. They're like, hey, we need a guy who can be an asset on offense on the O-line. I won't go into details, but there was a number of Canadian players you can play, and so on and so forth. So, and American players. So the Ticats like to play more Canadians on the O-line. So again, back to, I was raw, so they felt like I still had room to be molded. So they made that decision, and I switched to O-line. Completely different world. Had to almost start from scratch again, learn the game, playbooks, and then how to move as an O-lineman and the mindset of a lineman. So overall, great time playing, making that switch. But it was definitely a big learning curve for me, for sure. Yeah.
To me, it's just still so impressive. Like, what a natural athlete you must be to come from just completely different sports, get into one, go pro at it. Like, that's crazy, unbelievable. And so then after that, what happened after everything with the Ticats? Because did you play, I guess, 2020, the league shut down, right?
Yeah.
Like for COVID? Is that kind of when?
Yes. So, yeah, 2020, the league shut down. So 2019 was first I'll go back to 2019. 2019, amazing year for the Ticats. If you remember, 15-3 record, right? We made it to the Grey Cup, a loss in Calgary, unfortunately, to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then 2020, everything shut down, right? COVID started off, and the CFL got hit, unfortunately. We shut it down. We weren't even sure if it was going to come back. So that was my first, I have a marketing degree, right? From Santa Fe University, got a marketing degree, so studied business. So that was sort of my first wake up call, hey, this does, because I was so in it, right? So in the grind of hey, I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna make it to the highest level, which I did in Canada, right? Made it to the CFL, and then it became this thing of, okay, I'm in this new position now. I need to figure it out and still get to that level of being the best. But 2020, that happened, and reality check kicked in, right? Where it's like, hey, you're not in control with everything when it comes to football, right? With sports, period. But most importantly, with football. So pivot your mindset and figure out what else, leverage other skill sets that you have. So that was the first time, got a job, first time, right? Got a job with a Texas IT recruiting company in Mississauga. And we had a few alumni who worked there, and they're like, hey, you know what? If you want a career in IT, we can get you in here. And so that worked out. So that was the first hit of think about life outside football. Start thinking proactively about what you want to do after football, and just start planting those seeds and figuring out what's next after you're done, because it could be cut short quick. Because that year was weird. They training camp is always in May, right? March, we got the news like, hey, we might be moving training camp this year. And then it was like April came around and they said, hey, we're moving training camp from May to whatever it was. It was like July or whatever it was. And then there was another news conference that came out and they're like, hey, we always did a big meeting and they're like, hey, we're moving into September. And then it was like the season's not so it was one of those, we had no control over it, right? The rules were changing, government, everything was changing on the fly. And last minute it was just like, hey, it's not happening. And everyone was kind of like, oh my God. We're still training and everything. So it was like, oh, what, a lot of guys were like, what now? Like, what do I do now? So definitely blessed, I say, to be able to sort of make that switch at that time. And just changed the mindset as well.
Well, it's good that you even thought of that, right? And I mean, even the fact that you went to university, still got the degree in marketing, which is big, like a business degree, right? Instead of like going into, I don't know, like what I did, sociology. What are you gonna do with that, right?
Right.
But to have that to land back on is really that was smart to be able to do that, right? And then make that pivot afterwards. And then now I know you're doing some coaching at F45, right? That's how we were introduced
to Mike. Mike obviously owns the F45 Lancaster. Yeah, so coach there on twice a week. I do work. I'm a big fanatic of still sports and fitness. Everything, my life is pretty much sports and fitness in terms of everything. The business side of sports is where I find more passion. So after the Ticats 2022 was my last season. 23 decided to retire. Went back to school to Oregon State University for a sports business micro credential. It's not necessarily a degree, but it's you go through this 1-year program into sports business and learn the business of sports. So that's where my passion took me to, was the business side of sports. So I work for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and I also coach in F45. So it's sort of like my two passions is fitness and sports.
And then, so working for MLSE, what's your role there?
So I'm in sales. The department, the vertical that I'm in is called premium hospitality. So we sell the suites to corporate clients. We work with a lot of corporate clients. We sell those suites for Raptors games, Leafs games, Scotiabank Arena, and then BMO Field for Toronto FC and Argos games as well. I know it's almost like I made the switch on the dark side.
No, that's okay.
With the Argos. I mean, hey, listen, I'm
NTFC. Come on.
Hey, listen, with the Argos, it's different, man. It's different because I'm not on the teams. I'm on the venue side, but still, like, I'm in BMO Field and I'm like, oh man, so many wars out here. Like, I see the team running out. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is, my hives are going up and but yeah, it's a great time. It's definitely I've been there for just under a year now, so it's my intro into the business side of sports.
Nice. So if somebody's looking to get hooked up with the suite, you're the one that they got to reach out to. You're the guy.
I'm the guy.
That's awesome. Keep that in mind, right? We're gonna have your contact info below so they can reach out. Yeah, I didn't even think about you being a trader until you brought it up, but that's it's okay. It's that's got to be a fun job too. Just like being so passionate about sports like you are is pretty cool that you still get to be in that world in some capacity, right?
Yeah. You know what? And that's so there's obviously the conversation about athletes going from their sport to the real life, if you call it that, right? That switch it's a crazy switch, right? It's I did a bit of everything where you try to find what you're good at. You try to find your skill sets, but you also try to find, okay, what interests me really outside sports, right? You've been, in a way, I say you've been babied, right? You've been in this bubble. Everything is done for you. We're talking about, we have a media team, a communications team. Everything is done for you. Everything is planned for you, organized. Not to take away from the work that you put in so much work, right, into your craft. But on the real life side of things, right, was a conversation that I definitely started having. Like, okay, well, we need to figure out what else you're interested in, what you're good at, and I just figured, why not stay in sports? Like, why not, obviously the Canadian sports scene is in a growth phase, which we love. But, that's the big thing for me was, why not stay in sports? Like, why not flip it to the business side of sports and master that game and play that game, right? Still stay in sports. You still get to be in the space you love. And with the growth of sports in Canada, why not make a difference in sports and entertainment in Canada and just take it on and keep moving.
No, that's amazing. Like, it's good to have that mindset, right? And just, your passion, like you said, when you're in it, you're just focused on what you're doing, right? You're not really thinking of what is going to happen afterwards, and you're so focused on that athletic side of it. I like that you also called getting like a job, getting in the real world,
Yeah.
right? Which I always think
Yeah.
I feel like it's a sign of how much you love what you do when you consider everything else the real world, right? Like, for me, I'm a real estate agent, and sometimes I think to myself, I don't think of it as a job. For some reason, when people talk to me, I'm like, yeah, like I could have a real job, but I'm
Right,
thinking
right.
like,
But then it's like, this
yeah,
is my job. Like,
wait,
this
this
is
is
what I
my
do.
job.
Yeah, yeah.
I enjoy it so much, right? So it's pretty cool, like to have that feeling,
For sure.
as well. And then you transition now. You got the clothing line going. Let's jump into that. This suite, which by the way, sick hat. Thank you for this. And we didn't even color coordinate this. It's like you knew I was going to be
It's
wearing
almost like I
green,
knew, right? Always,
right?
always my
And
sixth sense
then
always
I
works
saw
out.
the colors on that. I like the colors of that one too. I wonder what inspired those colors.
Yeah, so these are the new drops. We have two. So I'll go into a bit of OK Fitt, which is my clothing brand. More than a clothing brand, athleisure brand, and more of a movement. So OK Fitt is a brand that I started working on towards the end of my football career. The last few years, I'd say, was really started. And again, I'll give you a story, right? So 2019, we had that run, Ticat run, 15-3. I think it was I believe it's the first time the team has ever, franchise record, the team has never done that before. Played under an amazing head coach called Orlando Steinauer. He had that team so glued together that we were moving as just a unit, right? We were conquering everything, and I came across a coach later on who, from a different team in the West, who he was like, hey, you know what? Like, we, you know, every game we play you guys, it was almost like we knew you were gonna lose. Like, it was weird. He's like, everyone tried to figure out what you guys had going on, because game day was game day, but we knew there was something going on behind the scenes that was working. There was something that was working behind the scenes. There was a process you guys had going on that we were trying to figure out what was it about what you guys were doing that was making this work, right? So we made it all the way to the Grey Cup, whatever, we lost to Winnipeg, but that year was a very pivotal year. The football blessed me with meeting so many different people from so many different walks of life, right? So that conversation there just had me, pulling similarities between life and sports, right? We always say sports is a game of life, right? Because it's a moment in time that reflects life. And that conversation of the work that goes on behind the scenes to show up on game day was one that just resonated with me. It was almost like everything you put in all this work, and at that moment I was like, this is really life though. Like, right, as you're a realtor, right? You have your showings, whatever, you close the deal, whatever, post it on Instagram or wherever you announce that, and everyone sees that. But the days that you put in work, the nights and the conversations, the meetings, the setup, and everything that goes on behind the scenes is your process, if you call it that, right? So commit to your process, which is the ethos of OK Fitt, really came from the similarities between sports and life. I met so many amazing people who were not athletes, who I leave that conversation like, wow, I can't believe this guy or this girl or this woman is doing all that, and there's no camera that follows her around or him around throughout the day to like show, hey, this, or there's no blogs or articles being written about this person, right? And I'm like, you're an athlete in your own right? This is what sports is about, right? So OK Fitt is really about the similarities between sports and life, and it's that commit to your process mentality of people who understand in fitness, and it could be health, it could be career, that the work that goes on behind the scene is more important than the game, what people see on game day, right? What the cameras see, what the blogs write about, the work that goes on behind the scenes is way more important. So the OK there stands for you're okay in your process, in your journey. The Fitt is the FITT. The F stands for fitness, because a lot of it is fitness. We're an athleisure brand, so everything from fitness apparel to a leisure apparel. The I stands for innovation, because that's a mindset where you understand that you always have to innovate. Change is dynamic. Change is the one constant we all have in life, right? So we're always constantly changing and innovating in different ways. The first T is technology. So we leverage every aspect of technology moving forward with the company. The goal is to leverage as much technology as possible. We're in the era of technology. And for our apparel, it's very much leveraging the technology that exists currently in the sports products apparel. And the last T is transformation, because that's what it's all about. That's what life is all about, right? Constantly transforming yourself from here to here and constantly making the moves to evolve into your best self. So that's the transformation. That's what OK Fitt is. That's what the brand stands for.
I love it. Yeah, you can tell you got a business degree. The way I love it. That was really well said. And I like even breaking down every letter, like just the amount of like thought that goes into it is just really impressive. And now the fitness leisure brand, which is a cool concept. I saw on your website too, you do like fitness classes.
Yes. So we do our fit classes. These are just one way we like to interact with, the OK Fitt. So I launched this in 2024, so just over a year. So our fit classes are very much how we interact with our community, right? Grow the brand and most importantly interact with the community. So we run fit classes where we tap into different coaches in different aspects of fitness. So we had a bar class. We do it once every month right now, at least. We have bar classes, Pilates classes, HIIT classes, whatever it is. We just tap into different coaches and leverage different people's expertise, and we ask the coach we connect with the coach almost like an ambassador. We as long as they fit with the brand, we love what they do, we have a conversation, and we try to do have our own classes to just expand the brand and tap into the community a little bit more.
I love it. Oh, it's a cool brand too. Like I said, I was looking on the Instagram, so it's geared towards, at least right now, geared towards more women.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So when I started this, it started off as a men's brand. We started off with a few shirts, just a few shirts, and the shirts sold out very quick. Some big tees sold out very quick. And I had a lot of women, a lot of females reaching out like, hey, like, we want this and we want that. And so, went back to the drawing board and we dropped some items for the ladies, and those were gone. And very quickly, the female market is very specific there's a lot more that you could just make a shirt for guys and just whatever, right? Whatever you want on it, right?
You just gave me a hat and I put it on.
Right.
And it looks great, right?
Right. But, for women, there's so much more details, right? And which I love, because then I had to really, when I went back to school, sports products was one of the things that I studied, right? So you really go back into your bag and make sure you figure out everything with seams and with fabric and fit, sizes and so many designs and so many other different things. My wife helps me with everything. So, it very much became a women's brand, more leaning towards a women's brand quickly, because the women's market really gravitated towards the apparel side of things, and still the ethos side of things as well. But last summer and this summer, every summer we make sure we drop a few items for the guys as well, just to make sure we keep the both sides going as well. So this summer we'll have some drops for the guys. So what you have right now, the hats are the committed hat and just the OK hat, different colors, are just some of the items we have dropping soon in the summer. The support is it for the guys as well, and we have a few things dropping in the summer.
So I got an early bird hat, eh?
There you go. Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is sick.
Absolutely.
I like this. I won't post it on Instagram yet. I won't spoil it. Don't worry.
I mean, hey, we need the
I love it. I have to get one of these
right.
zips too. I'll be ordering one on the drop for sure.
Awesome.
Looks
Perfect. Sounds
awesome.
good.
So it's just really cool, like how much you've been able to entrench your life just all around, like the sports and the fitness and all that. Starting this business, what are some of the challenges that you had when you were getting things going off the ground with OK Fitt?
You know what? The biggest thing is the first thing I'd say is definitely the purpose, right? I think with every business, and on a personal note as well, I'm very purpose driven. So I think that vision of what are you really trying? What's the is this a commodity? Are you just trying to sell clothes? Like what is really the purpose behind the business? I'd say was the first. I started working on OK Fitt in 2020. The thought really came around 2021. 2022, I really started developing the concept and playing around with logos. And I had a logo, someone I worked with who knew me well enough. Thankfully, it was a friend who was a logo designer. So we really went into detail with what the logo meant. And the biggest challenge, I say, starting off was just really starting off with the purpose of what do you want this to be? Like, this is a, OK Fitt is, and I'm calling, this is a, down the line. This is down the line, competing with the Aloes, the Lulus of the world. That's my vision for this. And it was very much, what's the purpose? What's the vision of this? What are you trying to do on the community side? Because it's all about community, right? What are you trying to do on the product side, which is very important? But what's really the mission? What are you trying to accomplish with this? Are you just trying to sell clothes? Are you just trying to, start off a new brand, or is there a real vision and mission behind this? So, yeah.
And the vision and mission is really good. Like, I mean, that's kind of what drives people to a brand, especially, right? Because a lot of people I think like there are a lot of t-shirt companies or whatever online, right? Just people trying to sell like funny stuff on t-shirts, right? But people actually get drawn to a brand. Like, I know, like you brought up Lulu, like when they first started out, it was like, I don't know, sort of around yoga or whatever. It was the yoga pants, right? And everybody loved, like, they kind of have that messaging, right? So it's cool, the messaging that you have. How was it when you were looking into getting the clothes designed and stuff? Like, what did that look like on the manufacturing side? Was that tricky to get all set up?
That was, definitely tricky. It's still a work in progress even until now. We're still always trying to figure out different ways to make things more efficient. On the designing side, 80%, 90% of the designs are in-house. I've always drawn from when I was younger, so I always played around with the pencil, and so I have conversations with, almost, I call it like a mini focus group, where I have, I hear what people, I like this, but I like it to look, I'd imagine if it looked like this, or if it did this. And I start drawing, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And so a lot of designs I work on, and manufacturing wise, it's a process even till now, right? I just had a meeting with a company out of the US, a startup manufacturing company out of the US that works more with biodegradable fabric and materials. So it's a constantly changing industry. I think that's also a big challenge, is the clothing industry is constantly changing, right? There's so many different aspects of detail within the textile industry that you really had no clue about, and now you have to learn it and understand what the different consequences are of different things, right? And then you try to find, okay, well, how do we penetrate and how do we make a difference in different areas of the business? But the design side of things is mostly done in-house, and the manufacturing that the partners we have right now on the manufacturing side are amazing, and we work with them mostly overseas. But yeah.
No, that's awesome. Like, I mean, obviously a lot of effort that goes into it, right? But you have the discipline to get it done, right? That's what helped you excel in sports. That's what's helping you excel now off the field too, is having that drive and that discipline. And so it's something you've been thinking about for 4 years, eh? That's cool seeing that come to fruition, eh?
It is, man. It is. And you know what? It's all about inspiring. Like, the whole messaging too is how do we really learn from each other, right? From all different walks of life. How do we learn and take things and inspiration and motivation from each other? That's, at the end of the day, what we're all trying to do, right? We talked about group fitness, and I said, one thing I noticed was, early back in the day, fitness, your gyms were where you go to get fit. You go into the gym and you put your headphones on, whatever, you go, you write your workouts or whatever, you go into the gym, okay, 5 squats today, 6 bench presses or whatever it is. But now group fitness is taking over, right? Group fitness, and the whole idea of group fitness is the community side of things, right? Where now people go to a group fitness class, not necessarily for the class, but a lot of times it's for the community, right? And we saw that in the pandemic, right? When after the pandemic was done, everyone was craving to be around people again, and fitness took off. Pre-pandemic fitness took off. We're getting back there now, but still, like, the rush for people to be back in their fitness studios with their community and working out again and having those conversations, and it's what we're all about, right? We're human beings, right? So the social side of human beings is really where we thrive the most. And on the fitness side, I think that's where the industry is going, right? Different studios now. F45, we talk about spin. There's all these spin classes. There's all sorts of high intensity. Everything is going on now with fitness, but it's all about community now. That's where we're leaning towards now, is community. How can people interact more, learn from each other, network more, and just take pieces from each other and apply it into different lives.
Yeah, that's such a great observation about it when you're talking about the fitness classes, right? And Pilates too is becoming huge, like Pilates and coffee, whatever. I don't know. There's like Pilates bars now. There's like Pilates and tonic, I think, in Toronto or whatever it is. But it's true, like, because F45 is the only thing that got me to work out consistently, was because I was like used to go like, okay, I do 10 squats or 3 sets, whatever. Like, I don't know. And I hated it, by myself, listening to music, and I'm like, this sucks. you go to a class, you're engaged in it, but then you also get to meet the people in the class, which is what I love about my F45 location. And I'm sure it's same energy at the Ancaster one too. Because I even know there's a lady there that she goes 5 days a week. And when I was talking to her, she's like, yeah, I work from home. This is actually my social time, right? Like she'll show up early and then works out, and then she usually hangs out for a little bit after and talks to people. And it's like, I guess it's true, right? You get to know the people, especially the morning classes. I feel like it's the
Yeah,
same
it's the same. It's the same.
people.
You know what? And that's another thing too. Is so I coach a 5:30 class, right? And 5:30 a.m. And I remember the first 5:30 a.m. When I first got there, it was the busiest class of the day that I coached. I just remember being like, man, these guys are no joke. And like the next time I coached a 5, it was the same group of people. And I'm like, the next it was the same, and I'm like, this is insane, right? So you start to learn people differently, and it's no joke, right? It's people are committed and dedicated to, this is my time. I have to get this done, and this is my time to start my day off right with people, or whatever it is, break a sweat, or with people, or just come out here, get it done, and start my day off with the right mindset. So yeah, man, it's pretty cool on the fitness side. Yeah.
Those 5:30, 5:45 classes, man, they're no joke. I usually every January I try to go 5:30, 5:45. But you know what? This year I was on that waiting list like crazy. Like I couldn't get right. And then I started thinking, okay, one more down 5:30, then because I think there are different times in Ancaster and Stony Creek by like 15 minutes. So I was, then I go to 6:45 because I couldn't get in, and it was messing with my sleep too much. And I was like, I can't compete with these people that want to go for it. Just let them go. I'm just gonna let them go. I'll stick to the 6:45. Now I'm on my summer hours, I call them, where I go to the 8 a.m.
Oh, nice,
So,
nice,
because
nice.
you know what?
Yeah.
I can't go to bed at 9 o'clock. Like, when the sun's still out and I'm closing my blinds to go to bed, I can't do it.
No.
No,
Oh
because
man.
you got to go to bed. Even you, I don't know how you get up to coach those classes, and then you got to have energy to coach, right? It's not like you could just show up and be like, "Oh, here's the workout," and then people work out and you just sit in a chair. Like,
Yeah, no, not at all.
it's a
Not
lot of work.
And you know what? I think I credit that to my sports career, my football career. We had some crazy schedules where, I mean, in general, right? You got to be at the facility at this time to go watch film, get a lift in, and go into meetings, and then get on the field, right? And then stay back for some meetings or whatever it is, or get therapy, or you got to go early to go get therapy because it fills up quick, right? So those days where, or you have an away game coming up and you're playing in Vancouver, then you got to get up, get ready, you got to take a flight. After the game, you're flying back. So I credit that to my sports career for sure. Like I won't say my sleep schedule is I get very good sleep, but I have no problem being a morning person. I think I thrive better as a morning person than a night person, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think most people, I don't really believe in night people. Like, I don't know, because I feel like it's such a waste of time. Like when you're up that late, it's like, what are you doing? It's just, but maybe it's people's time to relax too, right?
Yeah. No, true. I definitely know some people who can stay up late though, and get stuff done. I'm like, I can't do it. I don't know how you do it, but
After 9
yeah,
o'clock,
I'm
I'm
not
done.
Yeah.
But it's also, also with my job too, it's very, like, from when I wake up till I go to bed, I'm constantly working, like just emails, text messages, whatever. Because like some clients know I get up early and they'll message me. Like I get text messages like 5:15 in the morning, right? And they're like, they know I'm gonna probably respond. It's 6 something, but it's still like. And then I get other people that like sometimes 2 in the morning, 11 at night.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
emails come in, right?
I feel like when you set that, like when someone messages you and you get back to them right on, I feel like they almost get used to that, and now they expect you to always.
There's sometimes, like, even the girl that works for me, Albana, she messaged me one day. I didn't answer her for like 5 hours. I forget what I was doing. And she said to me when I finally messaged her back, she's like, I was going to call the cops because like I didn't hear back from you. It's so weird to not hear from you right away.
Right.
Like I was like, is everything okay with, like, what happened, right? And I think it was a day that I consciously put my phone to the side. My wife was off for that day, and I was like, you know what? It can wait, right? And no house is burned down, so it went pretty good. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And even the group fitness you were talking about, with that, like I feel like there's also been such, now in society more than ever, I almost feel like there's such an influence around health and fitness.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you know what, Justin? there's people I have conversations with now who are, you ask them like, what is it about working out? And they're like, hey, you know what? My doctor said I need to be here more often, right? So it's very much like you said, it's very much, it's almost part, you know, I used to say back in the day, like the coaches are almost, and I mean, you're in health and fitness, right? You're almost in the, you're almost, I used to say you're a doctor almost, right? Because you're here to help this person get healthier, right? And really like help them get healthier. They have goals or whatever it is. But in many ways, I mean, nowadays there is, I think there's more emphasis on health now. I think the more the human race evolves and grows, we want to last longer, right?
Mm.
We want to not just last longer, we want to enjoy our time while we last longer, right? So there's this emphasis now more on taking care of ourselves, right? What we eat, you know, how active we are. There's heart health, muscle health. There's all these different things now, endurance, so many different things now where the more we evolve, the more we understand how important it is to not just last longer, but perform at a high level as long as possible while we last longer.
Yeah, that
Right?
was I know it's how in a book I read, Dave Attia. I forget the name of the book, but he talks about it, like your lifespan that he called it health span. And he's like, a lot of people, they might live older, but then the quality of life for the last 20 years is, you know, down. Whereas he's like, it's better to have the health span where the quality's high and then you just kind of quickly, I guess, die, right? Like you quickly go down. Like you want to be able to be active, right? You don't want to spend from like, you know, you're 80 to live to 100 and you're stuck in a chair in bed or something, right? And there's just so much more knowledge out there now, I guess, thanks to social media and everything too, right?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely it's here to stay. It's going to be, you know, on the fitness and health side, it's going to be here for a long time. Which is also why a lot of brands now are popping up and are pushing that narrative. But it's a conversation now, and it's, you know, it's going to be here for a while.
Yeah, and then being a coach too at F45, like you said, not like, even like doctor, not a doctor, but even just like talking to people about diet, nutrition, stuff like that. Like I'm sure you get a lot of questions on that too, eh?
For sure. And just to be clear, you know, we're not,
Yeah, I
coaches
know.
are not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doctors, right? But you get a lot of questions. You also have to be very careful too, because you have to know your limits in terms of what your specialization is. You're not a nutritionist, you're not a, you know, so you have to be careful to let people know, this is what works for me, this is what I've done through my time frame being a whatever athlete, a coach, or whatever. This is what works for me, right? And then also being able to refer people to what you think is best, right? Or hey, you know, I can connect you with this person who is a specialist in this, or check this out, you know, check out this whatever video, whatever it is, information for you. But just to make sure you're also careful with trying to be everything in where you're not, right?
You went through a pretty big transformation yourself too, right? I was looking on your Instagram and I was like,
Oh
holy,
yeah,
what?
oh
You
yeah.
want to talk about that a
Yeah,
little bit?
absolutely, for sure. So for those who don't know, the part of that transition, you know, I played on the defensive line in university, you know, on the front line of the defense. But when you make that switch to O-line, the O-lineman generally you have to carry a lot more weight than being on the D-line, just because of what the job entails. It entails a lot of, the D-line and the O-line are the first points of contact on the football field, right? So there's a lot of physical contact, right? Head smashing, body movement, and whatever it is. So as an O-lineman, your job is to create space for the running back and protect the quarterback. So, which means you have to put on weight, right? You got to move guys around who are 250, 260, all the way to 300s, right? So for me, it was a physical, it was a mental change in every way, but it was a physical, it was a lot of my body, right? I had to put on, when I got to the CFL, I was about maybe 268 to 270 pounds. I was a big guy, but I had to put on about 20, 30 pounds on top of that, right? To be able to do my job. Because my first week playing O-line, I was just getting moved out of the way by guys who were like my size, or guys who were heavier than me, right? It's the D lineman has a forward momentum. The O lineman in general has to embrace contact and then move people out the way, right? So that embracing contact was new to me, right? So, you know, they put me on this plan, you know, workout plan and all that. But bottom line, long story short, is I ended up putting on healthy amount of muscle for sure, but also just a lot of weight overall, right? All over my body. And I ended up being, 300 pounds was about 295 to 300 pounds was a good weight where I would still be able to do my job and move around. It was a lot of my body though, because my body wasn't used to that. But then after I had surgery, I tore everything in my shoulder, rotator cuff, labrum. I messed up my shoulder just from overuse. But 2021, it snapped in the game. And I tried to play through it, which wasn't smart. So I probably lasted only like 2 plays after it snapped, like my arm was dead. But I went into surgery, and after that, put on a lot of weight. I mean, naturally, right? Lost my everything in my arm. So I was doing a lot of leg movements and a lot of therapy. And over time, I got up to 320 pounds, right, by the off season. So went on this journey to shed all that weight, right? So yeah, I mean, cut down, obviously after retiring, cut down all the way down to 248 was the lightest I was, which part of it was I started a run. I did the 15K around the Bay last year. And that was part of that was I just had to shed all that weight and went on the new program to sort of lose the weight, get healthier. Overall, that was my thing, was I just need to get completely healthier. Like in terms of, I was a healthy guy, but just get healthier, because a lot of weight and just switch everything up. So yeah, 248, got down 248, which was a little too light. Now I'm about 265, 268 right now is like a good weight. 270, anywhere 270 is like a good weight for me. But yeah, so I definitely went through that change, and you can imagine, like with that, everyone is asking you, give me the recipe. I want it. I need, like, this is crazy. You lost 80 pounds. Like, please give me what, like, how do you do it? And everyone has all these questions, and you have to be very careful, because you have to let people know, hey, because some of it was very aggressive, right? Some of it was, but I was conditioned to handle some of the aggressive moves that I made, right? Some of the fasting and some of the, don't eat this for this long, or hey, work out this much, and whatever it was, right? Some of it doesn't work for everyone. So you have to be very careful with letting people know, like, hey, this is what I did. One probably won't work for you, but this is what I did. And it's you have to know your body, right? You have to know yourself. This is how I did it. And just not say, okay, well, here's what you do, right? So yeah, but yeah, that was a big transformation for me, for sure.
Oh, it was amazing transformation, right? And I could definitely see people being, how did you do it, right? And obviously it was the clothing that you were wearing. It was the OK Fitt clothing that helped you push through and persevere, right?
So that's definitely what it
So
was.
we
Yeah.
won't throw it out there that if you buy the clothes, you'll immediately get shredded, right? Yeah, because it's tough, and like you said, everybody's body's different, right? Like I'm currently in the middle. I'm doing the F45 challenge right now. Which, are they doing that at Ancaster too
Yeah,
right now?
45 day challenge. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
I'm going for it. I've never gone for it before, but I'm going for it. And but like I said, I'm doing some aggressive stuff just to get it down, right? Which I can do anything for 45 days. I know, like, to me, 45 days is quick, right? No problem. So I want to win just because I want to say that I won the challenge. But you're right, like I do take advice from the coaches there, like Katie and stuff. He's amazing in that, just with certain things. Because one of the things I actually did recently was I jumped off creatine. I was taking creatine,
Yeah.
and then I noticed I slimmed down a lot. Like, it's crazy how much water weight I was holding on it.
Creatine, right? Yeah.
But then I had to get over the hurdle of not being able to push as hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right,
Fair,
because
you
then I
lost
was working out, and I was like, "Oh my god, these weights all of a sudden are heavier."
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That was one of the things that I also had to do, was completely shed. So people are like, "Oh, what supplements?" I'm like, I'm on water and nature. I'm like, literally, I had to shed all sorts of supplements. Like obviously my vitamins and so on. I definitely, but also like nothing at all, pretty much, in terms of supplements. I had to cut all that out, which was a big piece of me, like being able to shed. And I had to cleanse my. I was on supplements for a few years, right? You're taking protein here and you're taking this. So I feel like I had to cleanse my liver a little bit more from all those supplements I had over the years. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially playing professionally, you're probably on like taking a lot of supplements when you're trying to bulk up or just stay in shape and stuff, just to help with endurance and all that. So I mean, there's so many things that I want to ask you, but I know I don't want to go too long on this. The going back to OK Fitt.
Yes.
Now you've been doing it since 2024. What would you say is your favorite part about having this company now?
Man, that's a great question. Being creative, I think, is one of the one of the areas that I thrive the most. I'm a blend of creative and um analytical, if you call it that, right? So I enjoy being creative, but I also enjoy like the analysis aspect of making sure the business works. And one of the pieces that excite me the most is, I like to say, the people, the interactions you have with people, right? The from Like I said, right, women's apparel is I mean, I definitely studied sports product in general, the industry and the different, but like women's apparel, like the details of it, it's nothing that I had no experience with that. Till today, I'm still learning so many different things, but that was all just from like conversations and like I said, mini focus groups and my wife and friends, and right. So the creative piece of it in terms of the marketing side of things, right? Understanding how we want to make sure we market this organically, right? Don't just want to, get out there and just pay for a bunch of ads and just run ads and have things just pop up on your page. No, want to make sure like we're actually popping up at different fitness locations, different events where we're popping up with our booth and we're, being there with the people, explaining what the brand is. We have a partnership with the Ticats cheerleaders where OK Fitt is their official practice apparel. So Ticats cheerleaders, they're nothing but OK Fitt for practice. For game day, the CFO has a partnership with a different apparel brand. And the reason why I had that partnership was, obviously play for the Ticats, just so that relationship is there. But more importantly was the back to what OK Fitt stands for. That commit to your process was from university. I had some friends who were cheerleaders for the Red Blacks back in the day, right? And I just remember being in university, and I was working towards getting to the league, and they tell me what these girls were in university back then, but they were dancing for the Red Blacks, and they tell me like their routine and what they had to do from dieting, from training camp, from cuts, from tryouts, and I just remember being like, oh my God, like that's a lot. I'm like, that's a lot, right? And then I got to the CFL and same thing, right? Being in the CFL, like I think I had a different mentality from sports. Coming from Nigeria too, I think I'm always someone who's very, very I observe things, right? And I always like to like see the different aspects of what makes things work. So on game day, we're on field and I'm looking around like, oh man, how many people do we have out here today? And I'm thinking like, look at the media team go to work, right? I'm having a conversation with the equipment manager, like, yo, like, how many hours did you sleep last night, right? Just working all the different pieces work together to make something work is where I find like I just naturally like to observe all like what makes this happen, right? What are the different engines that make this come together to work, right? So back to the Ticats cheerleaders was game day. I'd see, I started developing this concept where you get to watch these ladies perform on game day, but then there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And I just felt like that's a space that it's not really told as much in terms of they're professional dancers, right? They're for a professional team. And the work that they do is not really, you don't really know about it. So had that conversation with the team, with the partnerships team and with the manager of the cheerleader, with the head coach of the cheerleaders, and they loved the idea. I have a good friend who also danced for the Ticats back in the day, Olivia, and we developed this partnership. And with this partnership now, this year, we're working on a mini documentary where we're going to sort of tell that commit to your process story, the OK Fitt story behind what it is to be a professional dancer. So we're going to do some behind the scenes and sort of follow them through like the process of what game day, everyone gets to see on game day. Sometimes people don't even notice, like you just come out, you dance, you look pretty, you put a smile on your face and you leave and you move around the field and keep people energized or whatever it is. And they go to all these different events, but no one really knows what it takes to. So I'm like, let's tell that story a little bit, right? It's not done in the CFL. It's not really done in Canada. I'm like, how are we tell these different stories of the behind the scenes of the work that people put in, and so that with the Ticats, it's something that I'm excited for. We're going to tell that story a little bit more and sort of highlight the work that they do behind the scenes, because that's what OK Fitt is all about, and how it inspires the next generation, and more than that, just your everyday people, and what we can take from that, from what they do, what they could take from us, so yeah, back to your question. I did a full 360 there, but back to your question. The most exciting piece of OK Fitt is the creative side and the things that I learned, man, the people you meet, and on the business side is now just, I'm at a stage now where I'm growing the team a little bit more. So being very careful with growing the team and making sure the right pieces are around, both how they fit into the brand and the work that they do in their expertise. So a few things, but I'm very excited, man. A few things there. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's great that the relationship with the Ticats, that's fantastic to have that, and it's great that they're so open to working with you. And then even this mini documentary, because those cheerleaders are pretty underrated, like the athleticism, the commitment, like what they have to do. I think there was a documentary, the Dallas Cowboys or whatever. My
Well,
wife watched
Netflix.
it,
Yeah.
and I caught like snippets as I was, coming in and out of the kitchen, and but she was like riffing through. But I like some of them you watch and you're like, holy crap! Like they're basically like athletes, right? The way that they're having to prepare for these things. So like you said, people might overlook it. They come out and just dance, and then they go in, and you might overlook what actually goes into it, because that's a huge commitment too. But yeah, the creativity is awesome. You're scaling the team. There's a good book, Buy Back Your Time, that I read recently because I'm scaling my team as well right now. That was huge for that, because you definitely want to be careful as you're growing. You want to grow properly, and you also want to have the right people and the right pieces in place. So, I mean, I usually ask the question, if you could go back to the start, what advice would you give yourself? I might ask that. I have another question I want to ask you though, but I'll ask it after. Let's go back. Let's ask that.
Before we even go there, what's the biggest challenge and I'm sorry to do this, but what's the biggest challenge that you find with that side of with growing the team? Like what's the challenge that you find there?
Oh, I like this. Turning the
Yeah.
tables on
Yeah,
me.
I mean,
Okay.
what can
Oh
I learn
God,
from you?
putting
I'd
me
say that.
on
What
the
can I
spot.
learn from you on that?
So for me, when it comes to growing the teams, I'm a very big believer in doing it slowly, because I want to make sure that I have the right people in place. So I kind of have like some principles that I run my business by, and I make sure the people that I have come in match those principles, and then be very, very slow to hire, and then fast to let somebody go if it's not working is another thing too. But honestly, you got to grow slowly. But so what I did is, there's a way to scale to buy back your time. So the first thing I did was I brought in an administrator. That was the first step, because then it let me focus on parts of the business that I love, which is like this, meeting people. I'm not stuck doing like back end paperwork that's going to take me 2 hours. And then next, I was spending so much time on the road showing houses. I was like, you know what? I need an agent that can kind of go on the road for me, that's also competent, right? And I found somebody like amazing, actually unbelievable. Like I can't believe it. And so she's now on the road, just freed up more time for me to now focus on growing the business, doing like even more things that I love, which is like, doing videos, doing these podcasts is something that I really enjoy doing. And then also just focusing on growing it, like the financials of the business, where I can invest money, what new marketing should we do, like kind of the fun stuff, right? So I think next step is probably for me, one more administrator, and then I'm going to scale to probably 3 or 4 more agents, get to 100 deals a year, and then that'll be it. And then hopefully retire at, maybe retire. I don't know. I always think I'm going to die in an open house, right? Like, never been to an agent's retirement party, but I've been to like a ton of agent funerals, right? So it's like, we don't retire. We just work until we either die, or at least, what I'm seeing right now, technology is getting a lot of these older guys out. Because somebody's like, can you do like electronic signatures? And they're like, no, like I'll come over. And they're like, it's 9 o'clock. Like, I don't want you coming to my house, right?
Right, right. Oh man, that's
Or you have
hilarious.
to miss out on a house because like you got to sign it in person. Get out of here, right? So technology is actually phasing a lot of them out. But yeah, so I mean, that's basically how I'm going about scaling. But that's very specific to real estate. But I think at any capacity, getting somebody to take over firstly the administrative tasks is the big one, and then allows you to focus on the big picture. Like you love the creative side. So I think anything you can do to sort of buy back your time to put more energy into the creative would probably be big, right? And there's lots of people, virtual assistants, even local ones. Like my first assistant was remote. She's in Hamilton, but she just worked from home, and it was just hourly as I needed her, right? So when I started out, it was maybe 10 hours a week, then 20, then 25, 30, and then I was like, okay, I need somebody full time. So then I switched to somebody full time, and I poached somebody very good, which was great. So, I mean, that would be my advice, is just anything that you don't like doing, or anything that you consider being time consuming, or like, oh, I don't want to do this. Because very soon I'm probably going to get Mike Morrison. He does bookkeeping.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, he
on the
does. Yes,
side.
yes, yes, he
So
does.
probably very soon I'm going to get him to jump on board and start doing that for me, because Yeah, I'm getting tired of doing receipts. Yeah.
Sweet. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, of
Yeah, for
course.
sure.
And you got to read that book too. Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell is what it's called. And so yeah, so I mean, going back, like if you had to give yourself some advice, even let's go back to the start of your journey for football and stuff. If you had to give yourself a piece of advice when you were first starting out, what would it be?
Man, a piece of advice when I was first starting out, man, I'd say, you know what? Okay, I'd say leverage your relationships a lot more. I'd probably say that. That was definitely one that um I think I've always been a person who big people person in terms of love meeting new people, exchange information. But when it just comes to favors, I'm not a big favor person, right? But understanding the difference between favors and just leveraging a relationship, right? Making a relationship work over time, right? And knowing how to also give favors and not to give to get, but like just leveraging a relationship more. And sometimes relationships are there to be leveraged. That's over my football career, I'd say there was a lot of relationships. There was a lot of people who wanted to meet me for just to leverage a relationship, and it's not anything else. But sometimes I find myself in just a I don't need that, or don't be that guy, right? So I'd say that was definitely a learning curve for me. Was with confidence to like understanding, hey, like just leverage relationships more. Show up for people, and they'll be willing to show up for you more, right? And when you show up for people, don't be scared to ask them to show up for you, right? That's a big piece of relationships. I think sometimes, well, for me, again, I'll speak to me, right? Was showing up for people and just be like, show up and just leave it there, right? But it's like, hey, show up for people and ask them to show up for you when you need it, right? And don't feel like you're being that guy. So I'd say leverage relationships a little bit more would definitely be my advice to a earlier Kate.
That's a great piece of advice for anybody in any field, because I think a lot of people are scared to do it or self-conscious, or they think like, oh, I don't want them to think like I'm just asking or that. But you're right. Showing up is huge, right? Giving starts the receiving process is a book written by, I forget what his name is.
Oh, you're
Joe
a big book
Polish.
guy, man. I love it, man.
I read like a book every couple weeks. And then, you know what? I was on this roll that I actually got to the book Let Them by Mel Robbins, which like she just beats that horse to death in that book. Like it actually got me to stop reading for like a couple weeks. Sorry, Mel. So I'm not finishing that book. I get the concept in the first chapter. But yeah, though I'm a big book guy. And then I'm also like, I got a list of like inspirational quotes in my head that I can just fire out all the time. I'm a big guy on positivity because I need to be I have to be, because I'm somebody that if I don't condition myself to be positive, I can get pretty negative, right?
I got to read your book too, by the way, man. I definitely need a copy for that.
You got to give copies out to everybody that needs to buy or sell in Hamilton. It's great. I lost my train of thought. The biggest thing with
I'll tell you this though. I just read a book. I read a few books a year, but I just finished. It's actually funny. I just read a book, Lululemon and the Future of Athletic Apparel by Chip Wilson, which talks about how he started before he started Lulu. Right, a lot of people don't even know, but Chip Wilson was the founder of West Beach, which was another apparel company he started before Lululemon. He had way back in the early '90s. Late '80s, early '90s. So it's I think I'm in that phase of the books that I read now being very much industry related. Reading a book now, Expert Secrets, and yeah, I mean, I find myself reading books now that are very much sports business related and clothing, apparel, marketing related. Now that's sort of the field that
even
I'm in,
that
right?
Shoe Dog is the
Oh
one
yeah,
written by
with
the
Nike,
Nike guy.
yeah,
Oh, big book guy.
yeah.
The one question I want to ask you too, because I feel like you definitely would have a good answer for this. Why are you putting you on the spot? What's the best piece of advice anyone's ever given you?
Oh, that's a great one. Best piece of advice anyone's ever given me. You know what? I have to say my dad, man. My dad is a big even keel guy, and I think that's helped me a lot over my careers and just where I am today. My dad, random, not like a big advice, but he once told me when I was younger, don't ever be too excited. and this is just like he just told me, and we're hunting birds one time, and we're hunting birds, and this is like it's not like with guns or anything. It's like with catapults, where you put a stone in the catapult and you shoot. So I thought I had a bird, and I was jumping all over the place, and the bird kind of got up and just like flew away. And I was like, oh man. So I was young, so I was pretty upset, and he just kind of, and for some reason it stuck with me. I was a young kid, man, but he just kind of told me, don't ever be too up, don't ever be too down, right? But for some reason, when you're young, I think there's some things that just kind of stick with you. So for some reason, especially when I started playing football and sports, there were so many moments where with different, I was a captain on the team from my third year in university, third and fourth years, right? And there were so many moments when we had to call on guys to not be here when it's going well, right? Hey, just find a way to maintain this, right? Don't be here when it's going well. Things change. And there was moments where we found us being here in the first quarter because like, oh man, this just happened, and we're smoking them by this much, and we're here, and the team's emotions goes here, right? So just so many weird moments where like I found this one piece of advice that he gave me randomly just popping up. And for some reason, I just kept thinking about that little kid who was in that moment. And some people might be like, oh, it's a killjoy. But for some reason, it kept resonating like, okay, well, find a way to maintain an even keel, right? Don't be too, I mean, hey, it's going great now, but make the moves you need to make sure it lasts. Don't go with the tides of, don't just go with the excitement. Try to find a way to level it out, because things do change. And when they change, you don't want to crash with the change. You want to make sure you're still right there, right? So I'd say that, I mean, it's very small, right? But, and that's again, to me, right? Biggest advice that I got would definitely be that, just know how to, and it goes to your emotions, right? Know how to manage your emotions. I think it goes, now I'm in the corporate world, and you got to think, I'm in the locker room setting for 6 years where it's all guys. Emotions anytime can fly, you know what I mean? And now I'm in a workplace where like I'm in an office, and it's, if you don't know how to manage your emotions, right? This is life, again, real life, right? So I find myself in many, hey, don't ever be too up, don't ever be too down. Find a way to, stay right down the middle. I mean, feel free to go up and down with it, but don't go to the peaks of the highs, and don't go to the bottom, the valleys of the lows, right? Find a way to stay right there in the middle. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest advice that I see has resonated with me personally.
It's amazing. That's wise advice from your dad. That's a really good piece of advice, because you're right. Like when you get high and you're up there, and you think you're going to be up there forever, and then when it changes, it can just devastate you. And then when you're low, if you start feeling like you're never going to come back up, mentally it could be tolling on you. That's really good advice. This has been one of my favorite podcasts. This is an awesome podcast.
I appreciate that. This is a lot of.
We could go Joe Rogan style and go for 3 hours,
right? We could. Like, I don't know how long we've been here, but I could keep going right now.
I think we're over an hour now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah.
So I guess we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to put your contact information in the description below. So anybody else that wants to get a hold of Kay, that's the way to do it. Be sure to check out the website as well. Be sure to get ready for that drop in the summer. If you're a guy, and if you're a girl, get on there and just start buying clothes right now. Fill your cart. Come on.
Yeah. Right? And feel free to please check us out, check out our Instagram at OK_FITT. That's at OK_FITT. That's the Instagram. And the website is okfitt.com, okfitt.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for
coming on. Thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate you.
Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in again. Until next time, take care.